As Ian makes its way across Florida, FEMA is standing by to help.
The agency is already anticipating several search and recovery missions in some of the hardest hit areas. Power outages, of course, are also a top priority for FEMA, with more than 2 million customers already reporting blackouts.
Craig Fugate joins us now for more on this. He is a former FEMA administrator. Craig, thanks so much for chatting with us this morning. First of all, help us understand, you know this well, what is going to be the priority for FEMA today in responding to this disaster? What can we expect, not just today, but in the coming days?
Well, they're in support of the state, and Governor DeSantis and local officials. The priority for all of the teams is going to be search and rescue and those initial assessments while utility crews try to turn on what power they can. But really today, it's search and rescue, and we still have heavy rains in parts of Florida, so this isn't over for Florida yet.
Now, we know that Ian is one of the biggest and most powerful storms to ever make landfall in Florida. And, you know, we were preparing for that as we were watching these hurricane forecast models in the days leading up. How does FEMA prepare for something like this when you are aware in advance how catastrophic the damage is going to be, how costly it's going to be, and, of course, the concern for human life? How do you prepare?
Well, they didn't start yesterday. They've been with the state since the beginning of the week. They're sitting side by side in that State Emergency Operations Center up in Tallahassee. And they've been moving as the state has requested additional urban search and rescue teams, commodities, communications equipment. And again, they were preparing for an impact somewhere on the west coast of Florida. And now that, you know, we're seeing where impacts are taking place, they're working directly with Governor DeSantis and his team as they begin that response.
And Craig, we want to ask you about something we were actually just talking about last hour, something you coined known as the Waffle House Index back in 2004 at the height of Hurricane Charlie, which took a similar path to Ian here. You said, quote, if you get there and the Waffle House is closed, that's really bad. That's where you go to work. I mean, tell us more about this Waffle House Index, how it's sort of become an unofficial way to gauge disasters.
Well, Waffle House will get open before just about anything else, and they're not going to they don't get stopped because the power's out or they don't have water. If the building's safe, they can generally get in there and get going. So the Waffle House Index was really, this idea that if they're closed, it's red, it's really bad. If they're open but have a limited menu, you're probably dealing with areas that have power outages or water disruptions, but they're still able to get some food service going, and they'll get open. That's yellow. And if they're open and got full service menu, that means that they're green. It also tells you a lot about the infrastructure, that they got power, they got water. And so it's a really quick rule of thumb. It doesn't tell you everything, but as you're driving in, and because Waffle Houses are up and down the interstate systems in Florida, it's a pretty good gauge. Once you start getting to areas where the Waffle Houses are closed or have limited menus, you're starting getting into areas with the impacts. And obviously, if they're closed and they can't get them open, those are really bad areas because their company philosophy and their approach to this is to get open and serve their customers.
Mm. And what's amazing is I can tell you from personal experience, it's true. When you're covering a hurricane, you're keeping an eye on the Waffle House. And when it closes, you know if it's in trouble. By the way, a limited menu, would that just be waffles then?
It's whatever they can do when the freezer goes out because they won't serve anything they're not sure. So usually it's the stuff they bring in by the truck. And it's a lot of the fresh stuff. So, anything they can get in there that's fresh and safe is what they'll start on that menu.
All right. Craig Fugate, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.